so we'll start. Welcome to the lighter side of the dark side. It's your weekly freak show here on Renagade Radio and all podcast catchers, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, everywhere you listen to podcasts. We're here. It's the Dark Mark Show. I'm Dark Mark, the goth comedian. Oh, by the way, we're on Player FM, and apparently we've been doing big numbers on there. And As always, my co-host, everybody's favorite horror writer, Nicole Six.
Good evening.
She's stress-free now.
Yeah, I was having some financial difficulties, but we worked through them. It wasn't by my fault. It was something where I was relying on other people, and the other people pulled through. Isn't that great? That's
so rare. Yeah. And I thought it was also that somebody pulled through, and it's one of our sponsors, but we'll get to that later. Today, we have, this is a long time in the making. This is somebody actually, she was a myth for a long time. I heard about her for quite some time. Everybody told me there's this mythical dominatrix that does comedy, and she's funny, and you should have her on shows, and you guys should do shows together. And I never met her until I did her Futurist Female show in May. And I obviously had to cut off my genitalia for that, but it was a wonderful show, and she's a great comic, and we've become fast friends. It's Mistress K. Hi, Mistress. How are you?
Good. Oh my God, that intro. Thank you so much, love. Well, you are just a delight. You always make me laugh.
You two have such good stage person-to-person chemistry. Like when I see you guys talking to each other, you're both super funny.
We should tour together. We should be on every show together. Seriously.
How about this? I'll let you open for me.
Well, you're a dominatrix, so that has many meanings. But before we get to that, I got to do our sponsor real quick, because this is why I have so much energy. Oh, there we go. That's Raze energy drinks. That's our sponsors. I've tried every energy drink imaginable, Rockstar, Monster, all the ones, Bang, all of them. This is the best. You don't get this at 7-Eleven. You get this at gyms, GNCs, or better yet, go to the show description in every podcast catcher before it disappears. Go to every description in podcast catchers and our YouTube, and you can get. We have a code for 15% off any flavor you like. This is the South Beach flavor. Tastes like a pina colada. Delicious. They also have Baja Lime that tastes like Baja Blast from Taco Bell. They also have, look at you with the background, Nicole. They also
Sorry, I hope that wasn't distracting. I just realized.
No. Yes, they have, now Nicole's in space and she's flipped around. There we go. So anyway, Nicole loves Raze energy drinks. Not this particular flavor, but she likes the Baja Blast, and also the they have all sorts of other flavors. Apollo is a great fruit punchy flavor. They have sour gummy worms. Best parts of Raze energy drinks: 0 calories. There's a 0 right there. 0 carbs. 0 crash. Raze energy drink. Now, I want to before we get to the fun, I do have to say, and this seems to be a weekly thing. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but just a tribute to our friend and fellow comedian Jonathan David, who passed away today. What a shock, and what a great guest he was. When he was on the show, because his parents were deaf, he showed us how to sign whore. So I'm doing this in honor of Jonathan, and he was a wonderful guy. Not only a very funny comic, which there's a lot of funny comedians around, but he was funnier than most, but a genuinely just special and wonderful guy that everybody loved. I wish I could say the same thing for myself. Not everybody loves me, but everybody loved him, and there was a reason. Mm-hmm. Did you ever work? You met Jonathan, I'm sure, Mistress, around the way, or did you?
Yeah, I'm really good friends with Richard Older, and Richard Older is really good friends with Jonathan. So I've met Jonathan a couple of times. I don't know him quite as extensively as you do. But yeah, I mean, anytime that we lose a comedian in our community, it's just a huge loss.
Right. So he was on our show, and I'm going to post the show that he was on with our friend Rotten Kitty and our old co-host Hannah. It was a great show, very funny. Nicole's figured out the background now, so she has a background on
So we don't all have to stare at my ceiling fan.
I love your ceiling fan. Everybody loves the ceiling fan. Now we're going to get 8 letters. Where's the ceiling fan? Anyway, before we get started, I got to say, because we're taping this later than I anticipated and initially booked, Mistress K owes me a big slap in the face next time she sees you.
Well, Mark, you know I don't do anything for free.
Well, it's just
Yeah, you have to earn that slap, Mark.
Well, that slap is because of you, Nicole, because you had something to do, and then we had to postpone for an hour. So I'm taking the hit for you.
I'll take the hit. It was a beautiful party. I'm really glad I got to go. I had an amazing time, and everybody thanked me for coming, which is always nice. So if I hadn't gone, I would have got a lot of "what the fuck's, Nicole? You were supposed to be there." So it was something that had to be done.
I love it.
Nicole's got some interesting friends.
You should have came too.
What's that?
You can come too if you want to come to one of the art galleries I go to.
Jesus Christ. This is the first time I've been invited in the whole time that you've been going to these art gallery parties for 6 months.
You never expressed an interest.
I wouldn't like to
like
go to an art party.
years.
What's the matter with you? Of course I would. I'm never
Okay.
invited.
Well,
This is
the
the first
next
time I've
one
been
is on
invited.
the 11th, and it's Billy Morrison's.
Okay. All right. Billy
All right.
Morrison, formerly of the Cult, and Billy Idol, and somebody Nicole likes to name drop. So when I came back to town, after I was in Las Vegas, people were telling me about this mythical dominatrix that did comedy. She was the Comedy Store, and she's very funny. And then now I've got to know her. Now, Mistress, were you born in Boston or you grew up in Boston?
I was born in Worcester, which is it's like an hour outside of Boston. But yeah,
That explains a lot.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to pack the cab, but you don't have that, but you do have the attitude.
Well, you know what? It only comes out either when I'm getting fucked or I'm pissed drunk. I'm friggin' mad, you know? Like then it comes out and I just like people are like, "Oh, you really are from the East Coast."
No, it comes out on stage too, though. I mean, you're aggressive on stage.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, that's just I don't think that's like a regional thing. I think that's just a me thing.
I don't know. It's funny because I know one of my friends. We went to see Courtney Love. This is way back when, and he said, she plays guitar like a man, and it was a compliment. I knew what he was talking about, and you kind of do comedy like a man.
I don't know if that's a compliment.
A funny man that grabs the crowd, and you're not the only female that does this. I'm not rushing you, but
like no diss to Chelsea Handler, but people talk about how female comedians aren't funny. Well, and they always only talk about sex, and Mistress K talks about more than that.
Yeah, but yes. Oh, that's true too. We're giving you all sorts of compliments. I'm saying you're aggressive like a man. And if somebody, and I've seen it, made the mistake of heckling or talking to during your act, it does not go unpunished.
No. I just want equality. You know what I mean? It's not easy being a chick in comedy. So I just want to kind of level the playing field. And sometimes that puts a target on my back, but I'm strong. I'm a beast. I can handle it. So come at me, bro.
But does it really? I've been telling Nicole, and this has been, obviously the last 2-3 years, it's really bubbled up, but your show is called The Future is Female. And I said that even before I knew you had a show called The Future is Female. I really think the future is millennial women in comedy. I think that's the audience. And I think that's where a lot of older comics are going wrong, in that they're not adjusting to that new demographic.
I mean, I definitely agree to that to a certain extent. One of the things I will say is when I started comedy about 5 years ago, you really had to network like a fiend to get into shows, because they were not giving women like a shot at all. Like, and if they did, they were trying to get at you in other ways. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, oh, if I put her in my show, maybe she'll blow me afterwards. Like that type of thing. But I think now, like lately, I think this has a lot to do with just like the Me Too movement. And I think more women are just like, enough's enough. Like, we're not going to take this shit anymore. And I do think that there are more voices like myself out there that are just like, no, fuck you. Like, I'm just going to do my own thing. And that's really what it is. Like, if you can't join them, beat them. Beat them at their own game. So again, I don't want to have to, you know, like, I don't enjoy being around people that aren't funny to me. I don't enjoy that whole networking thing to like be like, oh, you know, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Like, I hate that. Like, I'm just not a fake person in LA. LA is so fake, you know, like people are like, oh my God, you're amazing. And then they turn like, what the fuck? You know, it's just like, that's how it is. And I don't like that. I didn't like that at all. And majority of the shows that are out there, they're not very well produced, especially in LA, because it's just, we're in an area where it's just so saturated with people that are, I'm a model, I'm an actress, I'm a this, I'm a that. Oh, and I'm a
dominatrix.
Well, yeah, but it's like, you know, like they're like 6 things, but they're really only like 2, if that. You know what I mean? It's just like, so, and it's funny because out here in LA, I feel like I've been to so many bad shows that it's just like people aren't funny. And I was just like, I just want to change this because I want to see more representation and I want people to be funny that are actually in these shows, which is why I always tell people, like, I don't put bum bitches on my lineup. Like, you know, there's this chick that like, she literally is like, whatever you want, I just want to be on your show. And I'm like, get some jokes. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just because you're a chick doesn't mean that I'm going to put you in there. Like, you literally have to be funny. Like, I'm sorry, you know? So yeah, so I just want
to call model actresses.
Oh God, there's so many, girl. Like, oh my God.
We call them mattresses.
Ugh. And they talk like this and like, oh my God, so it's like on Tinder and it's like, oh God.
See,
yes.
Yeah, that is not the comedy that you do. That was my point earlier, that I did not come across. It didn't come across the way it was supposed to. But it's interesting when you say have jokes, because I was watching some YouTube stuff of yours, you know, a lot, and you know, it's been a busy week, but there was a roast battle from, I guess, when you first started doing comedy, and it's funny because the guy that you were roasting, and you know, you've gotten a lot better.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about him. I don't know if he's even doing comedy, but this was one of the roasts, Nicole. And I hate roast battles. I love roasts. I don't like roast battles. There's a totally different thing. Roasts, you can really go off and do inventive stuff. Roast battles, you have to do something in a certain segment, and you know, I can do it, but I don't enjoy paring things down when I've gone off on roasts and just you know, done things that are more than a minute that just destroy. But this guy said, you know, Mistress K, you went to school to be a nurse. You did all that education to become a nurse, and then you found your calling selling sex toys. And that was it. That's a fact. That's not a joke.
I know. I was like, what's the dig?
Yeah. I didn't get it myself. What was the insult?
Like, my first year selling sex toys, I made $60,000.
That's awesome.
Right. This is where I'm segueing to, because
where is the joke? Where is the stab? Like,
it's not insulting. It's not funny. It's a fact.
Yeah. That was a very long time ago.
Yeah, it was a few years ago.
That guy, oh my God. And this is like quintessentially, like, that guy literally just kept me around because he wanted to fuck me. And then, like, he literally was telling everybody that I was doing stuff to him. And I'm like, no. I'm like, first of all, I'm like, that man doesn't have enough money to even afford to be in the same, like, establishment as me. Never mind. Like, you know,
I could tell by his pants.
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah, this guy was like a step above homeless. He's like, He's bald. He was wearing camouflage pants. He said he looked like Mr. Clean meets G.I. Joe, and you could have gone on for a while on that. But
I was trying to be nice. Like I am trying to be nice. It's so funny. You know, like that's like the earlier stuff where I keep my earlier stuff on there because I look at like I like to reminisce on seeing like where I started to where I come from now.
Right.
And like before I could honestly tell you, like I had no idea, like there was no joke structure. I didn't know that there was even such a thing, like, or how to craft a joke or any like how to create a premise, set up, punch, tag, none of that shit, you know? And like I just knew I knew I was an entertainer and naturally funny, and I have stories for days, and that's kind of the comic that I am. I'm a storyteller. But you know, I went to school. Shout out to Greg Dean. I went to school. I went to comedy school, and people like, you're wasting your money. You can't teach funny. And I was like, no, you're right. You can't teach funny, but you can teach people how to write a joke. And that's I think the key part that a lot of people in comedy, right? They just think that, you know, they've been around their friends and just told that they were funny. So they think that it translates on stage. And a lot of the times it doesn't, you know, and a lot of the times I feel like there's a lot of people that are in comedy, not specifically because they can tell a good joke or they're a good storyteller or anything, but it's mostly just because they're not heard. And with a microphone, you get heard, you know, and it's like so sad because you're just like, you clearly just want attention. Like you're not really in this.
We all want attention. You're standing on there by yourself with a mic telling your story. Everybody's there to get attention, whether they're a good comic or not.
Yeah, no, I know. But I mean, like you're
we're all dysfunctional. We're all, I mean, it's bad.
Yeah.
And as the world gets increasingly dysfunctional, there's more comics.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nicole. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was told when I used to be funnier back in the day when I was like less jaded. But although I hear cynicism makes for great humor, but I wanted to try stand up. And my friend told me, he goes, you're going to bomb because everyone bombs their first time. Did you bomb your first time?
No.
How did you do it? Did you slay?
So truth be told, I'll tell you the truth. I answered an ad on Craigslist and ended up in a show on the main stage at the Ice House. Now, again, first time I ever done comedy, I had a 7-minute set on the main stage and crushed. And it was funny because I was waiting for the show. I didn't know what the fuck a light was. Like, I didn't know any of this comic stuff, right? And after I came off, I was talking to the other comics in the show and they were like, hey, you're really funny, but you're new to the scene. Like, I've never met you before. Like, you know, like how long you've been doing comedy? And I was like, this is my first time. And they're like, no way. And I was like, yeah, like this is my first time. And I look at that set and I did really well, but I know I know like I'm worlds apart from where I started. You know, but again, it was a good set considering that I'd never done comedy on a stage or at a club or anything like that. And it was great. I enjoyed myself and, you know, I got the bug, as they say. You know, comedy is like one of those things that you get up there and you do it like, you know, it's better than any kind of substance you could take because you just feel so good. You feel like you're on cloud 9.
Mm-hmm. But Nicole, how many times have I mentioned Ice House and Laugh Factory, the two best stages in LA?
Often. You
can't. Ice House is so good. If you bomb at the Ice House or the Laugh Factory, stop doing it. Things can happen at the Comedy Store, Improv, or other clubs. But if you can't get laughs at the Laugh Factory and the Ice House, get the fuck out. But that's great. Now, I do want to go back because I did want to segue back to Massachusetts and your nursing career. So you have an interest in anatomy from an early age, it looks like.
You know, it's funny. I kind of fell into nursing. It wasn't something that I wanted to do always, but I always liked science. I guess I'm just so controlling that I want to know how things work. So, like nursing was kind of like a natural thing where I kind of fell into it and, you know. I don't know. I went to school originally for psychology, and I was working in a prison, and I was working.
You were a prison psychologist?
I was a substance abuse recovery counselor at MCI Framingham and MCI Norfolk. So I worked in a women's prison and a men's prison. And I was teaching life skills and recovery skills to inmates. So at a maximum and like a pre-release prison.
And how old were you at this time? Early 20s?
I was literally, I got a college internship there, and I loved it so much that I got a job right out of college. I literally had a week. I graduated, at a week off, and then I went right into the workforce. And I thought I was like big shit, because I was like, I'm making $29,500 coming out of college, right? Like, I was like,
that's kind of impressive.
Hey, that's more than we make.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? And I was just like, wow, I'm fucking killing it in the game. And yeah, I worked in prison for about 2 years and became a supervisor in my program. And I really loved working with inmates in that environment. But the company I worked for, they were fucking assholes. And these people, they didn't, like, they weren't practicing what they were preaching, and they weren't like, they just, you know, like, here we are teaching substance abuse and recovery, and these people didn't believe in what they were teaching. And I was like, how can you teach somebody to get their life together if, like, you know, like, you're a mess, or if you're somebody that doesn't believe in that recovery is possible? So I helped a lot of people get, like, you know, housing, a job, you know, like, stay clean as soon as they come on the outside. I did a lot of programming on the inside for inmates and stuff, and really got to see, you know, hear a lot of stories from people who are a lot less fortunate than me. And I really loved that job. It was just unfortunate that the company I worked for, they sucked. They were terrible. And then
So,
I got out.
Any scary moments?
You know, treatment staff, inmates don't really mess with treatment staff because they know you're there to help them. But there was this one instance where I was filling in at MCI Norfolk, which is like a medium level security prison for men. And I was teaching a class, and I remember the first time, like, going in there, they gave me a beeper, like a personal beeper, like an alarm. So if anything happened, I just pulled this pin, almost like a grenade.
Right.
Pull this pin, and like this huge whistle alarm goes off, and you know, the guards are supposed to come and save me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh, nothing's gonna happen to me. And then I was teaching in this day room, and I had literally 60 male inmates in front of me. I'm teaching a class of 60 hard criminals, right? Quote unquote criminals in front of me. And I'm teaching life skills, like, count to 10 when you're angry, guys, you know, like, doing this all on the board. And this fight broke out. These guys coming out of the bathroom, something happened with their canteen, or somebody shorted them something, or I don't know, they were drinking Pruno. I have no idea, but there was a fight that broke out in the day room. And then some of the inmates, their gang was involved with those members. So they got up to basically get in there. And all I was thinking was, A, my back is turned to this. B, I'm literally in front of like 70, like almost 70 men here. I was like, and I'm about, I don't know, 20 feet from the clearest exit to get out of there for my safety. And I remember being like a little scared and about to, like, and I pulled my pin, and 3 of the inmates in my class turned around to me and they were like, don't worry, we got you. Like, you're fine. Like, we'll protect you. But, and I was just like, oh, fuck. But honestly, like, that was the one time that it was scary. You know, that was the one time that was scary. But also, I've, you know, like, prison is kind of the safest place to be because the reaction time is within seconds. So that huge brawl broke out, and in a matter of a minute, it was squashed and everybody was already in their cells. So again, you know, if I was, the safest place is prison, believe it or not, if you work there.
So basically, the bottom line is prisoners are less lecherous than corporations and comedians.
That's how it sounds, yeah.
Male
I mean,
comedians,
I didn't
especially.
see anything when I was in jail. Like, I didn't have any fights or anything. There were a few lesbian arrangements, so that part's true. But I didn't have any, like, there was one girl who like yelled a lot and like basically just wanted attention. Were you teaching in county or actual prison?
No, it was through the state of Massachusetts I worked for. So that's why I can't commit any crimes, because I'm in the FBI database. But I got fired from my job there, believe it or not, because my supervisor. Yeah, well, so we had graduation, and I was working with this group of women for 6 months, right? And through this program, they would get a good time taken off their sentence. And at the end of the graduation, one of the inmates hugged me. And rather than me going, get off me, you know, making a big scene, I just kind of froze and let her hug me, right? And
with a little pat on the back, and yeah.
I just kind of was like, oh, you know, congrats or whatever. And my supervisor saw that, and she had it out for me because I was like the youngest person, and I was just like, I probably was going to get her job in about a year or so. So she really just didn't like me.
And if I'm getting your inferences earlier, she might have been on drugs.
Yeah. And so she fired me, which was wrongful, and I could have sued the company, but I was young and I was like, I don't want to go through all this. I was like, I'll just get another job. But they fired me illegally. So so I got fired from there. And then shortly after, I got a job working for Delta Airlines.
Flight attendant?
No, I was a ticket counter person and a gate agent. So I'd bring the jetway up to the plane before y'all get on board. So I worked.
Did you get any perks? Were you able to fly?
Oh yeah, honey. I traveled everywhere. I was just, I went all over the place. I had boyfriends in different ports, girl. Oh man. And the thing was though, is we didn't get paid that well. So you would get there for free. But when you got there, you had like no money to spend. But there were days that I was like, I just want to go to West Palm Beach for lunch, and like got on a plane, went down to West Palm Beach, had lunch, hung out, and then came home. Like, so working for the airline was awesome. Like I really did love those days, but I had like a shitty schedule. Holidays meant nothing, you know, like you really had to like, you know, you had to barter for shifts. You were like, hey, if I take your October 12th, can you, you know, cover me for, you know, May 27th? Like you just really had to, it was a lot of like, you know, trying to get shifts and stuff like that. And I wasn't making any money. I was poor all the time. So I was going on these trips and I was just like not being able to afford anything when I got there. So a girlfriend of mine that I actually worked at the prison with, she was like, hey, you should come over to this healthcare company. You know, like the benefits are great, blah, blah, blah. It's like a good schedule. So I ended up getting a job there. And I started working on electronic medical records, like electronic EMR systems, and like building templates for doctors' offices and doctors' practices. And then I was meeting all these like doctors and nurses and, you know, learning all about like the medical field. And I was like,
so you have a degree then, don't you?
Yeah.
Was your degree in psychology or just like general sciences?
No, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology and a bachelor's degree in nursing and a associate's degree in criminal justice. So it all kind of ties in together.
It ties into all the dominatrix game, definitely.
Yeah, I can choke you out and then bring you back to life.
I'm sure you can. Speaking of that, Nicole, before you're talking about your old, you know, being in prison, how people get all messed up, and your supervisor. What they really need to do is take some Renagade Kush like you did today.
I have my little bag here of Renagade gummies.
Yes. You had a Renagade gummy before the show. You're full of energy and very mellow. and feeling good.
Yeah, they just make you feel good.
So they have gummies. They also have CBD products like bath bombs.
They're getting us some white chocolate for Christmas.
White
I'll be able to
chocolate for
share it with you
Christmas.
soon.
And apparently the bath bombs make your skin feel nice and silky and relax you. Go to renegadekush.com, Renagade CBD.
So Mark, Charlie said you requested some of those bath bombs.
Yes, I did. I told you I did.
He says he has rose smelling ones if they were for a lady friend.
Yes. What do you think? I'm getting them for my mom and my sister. What do you think I'm getting them for?
No judgment. No judgment.
I would get them for a girlfriend, but that's not happening. So I'm gonna get them for whoever.
So I'll let him know you want the rose ones. Then he wasn't sure. He was like, "Are they for Mark or are they for someone else?" I'm like, "I don't know."
No, I want the patchouli and ass flavored bath bomb. I want to smell like that. Just whatever you got. I don't care, but I don't. I take showers. I don't take baths, but these are for female people I know. Anyway, so.
Well, they won't regret it.
Not that it's not manly to take a bath with a rose bath bomb. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing.
What are male bath bombs supposed to smell like? Like Sasquatch, like cedar in the woods, like.
Well, no, funny you should mention
Irish
that.
Spring.
And I don't know, Nicole, if you've noticed this, but I've kind of changed my scent a bit because I was always into minty soaps, like Dr. Bronner's soap and soaps that are minty. And then I was at Marshall's where you get like the $5 soap that lasts like for 4 months. And they didn't have any minty soap, but they had like a sandalwood, like a woodsy soap. It was like citrus and woods.
Nice.
And it smelled great. So I'm like, so now I smell a little different. I'm not as minty. I'm a little more woodsy. And I actually bought some cologne based on that, which is more of a woodsy scent. So it hasn't worked either. But anyway, Mistress, so you were a nurse, and selling sex toys was more lucrative.
Yeah. Oh, way more, and more fun too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in a really bad relationship, and I went to a girlfriend's bachelorette party, and I kept answering all the questions. And the demonstrator, she was just like, "What do you do for a living?" I'm like, "I'm a nurse." She's like, "You can't answer any more questions. It's not fair." And I was like, "No, I am winning that penis straw. I am winning it. Like, I'm super competitive. Like, I am winning this." And I wanted so much stuff in the catalog that I couldn't afford it, because paying student loans and all that stuff. So I said, "Do you get a good discount selling this?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, girl." So I was like, "Oh, well, sign me up." So I did. And I started in 2012. So a while ago. I've been doing it a while. And I just started selling sex toys, and I really loved, it's like Tupperware. It's a Tupperware party only selling sex toys. And, like my partner at the time, I was really trying to spice things up because I literally felt like I was raping him. I was like,
Well, I was going to get to that. Now, have you always been this hypersexual?
Yeah.
All right. Good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I got that vibe immediately, but listening to you on other podcasts and hearing about this. Yeah. So the guy just couldn't take it.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh no, not again." And I was just like, "Really? Like, I'm doing all the work, you're just laying there." Like it wasn't even sexy at that point. It was just like, it was like, I'd rather use my vibrator than to deal with your mouth. Like it was just, like
we've all been there. Nicole, you've been there, right?
It was bad. Like, like this, it was just bad. It was bad, and so I was like, well, maybe if I just like mix it up and like, create some fantasies, make some nights happen, like it'll lighten him up a bit, and help our relationship. And it didn't. The relationship ended. The relationship ended because it was also an abusive relationship, like a lot of it accompanied like the whole course of just a very not a toxic relationship. And when I started selling sex toys, I started to get my mojo back. I started to get my, self-esteem, and I was secure about myself and my body. And, here I am talking about sex toys, and I'm telling jokes to make people feel easy breezy to tell me their most intimate secrets. And, you know, I love that job. I still do it today. And, you know, what I realized is that I started to meet all these kinky people, and you know, like I was just like, my sexual revolution kind of started there, and I started to get a bucket list of stuff I wanted to try. And then these people kept inviting me to these parties, and while I was doing these parties, I was selling sex toys. And then after, people were like, do you want to play with us? And you know, I took on a couple of mentors, as they say, and learned some things. And then I realized that, you know, I wasn't really into rules. I wasn't really into the submissive stuff, even though when you're submissive, you basically hold all the cards. But I noticed that I was one of those people, it was more dominant, and it kind of took my power back from being in that shitty fucking relationship where I was like, no, you're not going to fuck me. I'm going to fuck you.
Right. Wait a second. Let's go back. Now, you say you're not into roles, but you cosplay all the time.
I know. Well,
right.
Yeah. Do I?
Different wigs. You got all sorts of things going on.
Well, I like to dress. I don't know if that's cosplay, because cosplay is more like you're playing a character, where this is like my own invention, you know.
Right. You did my show in October. You dressed as Beetlejuice. You had a Halloween looks the whole time, and then it didn't stop. You kept doing it.
Yeah, for the month of October, I wanted to have fun. I wanted to dress up. I think also, like, being a whole year stuck in the house where like we really weren't able to celebrate Halloween, I really went overboard. And you know, like I love fashion. I love clothes. I love standing out. I like, you know, like, this is my armor. Like, I love to dress. Like, this is part of my personality. This is how I express myself. I like to be the eccentric person in the room. And what I've noticed is that it works for me. You know, like, I don't have to go up to people. People come up to me. And it's kind of a way for me to kind of engage with people, because I don't have to go, hi, my name's Mistress K. Like, people can kind of tell me that I'm an alpha, you know? Like,
that's the other thing. You are an alpha female.
Super secure.
You are an alpha female.
I am. Totes.
Definitely.
Guilty.
When did you first realize that?
I've always known that. I think what happened was that life sometimes takes you down a couple of pegs because you're with people that you trust. And then those people, like, they are dealing with their own stuff. So they kind of transfer it onto you. And it brings you down a couple of pegs. But, you know, getting older and like coming into my own body and realizing that, like, I am the shit. Like, this is what I got. This is what I'm working with. I love myself. Ain't nobody loved me more than me. And I appreciate the skin and the things that I've gone through in my life to be the creature that I am today. And, you know, I'm still evolving, you know, like everybody, you're a person, you're always going to evolve over time, but to really like self-love. And I think, you know, the kink community, BDSM, like, there's so many, a lot of people who don't know because they're not in the lifestyle, they think, oh, we're just like over here, like beating people up and like, it's like Fight Club. And then that's not what it is. It's a community of people that trust and consent, and people that are very woke. Like, I have met some of the most intelligent people through the kink community, and just people that have shown me a different perspective on the way to live and how to not only support yourself, but to be open-minded towards others. And, you know, like, you really take care of yourself. Like, you in this community really take care of yourself because you're valued, and you're valued from all different angles, all different sides. And because people are into so many different things, that things that you might overlook about yourself, another person goes, wow, look at you. What a creature. Like, I need to worship this about you. And so it builds up. It's a huge self-esteem platform. And I also feel like, you know, the kink community is just like, we're old, you know, we're adults that have this magical world that we've created for ourselves. And who doesn't like role play? Who doesn't like make believe? Who doesn't like, you know, getting rid of the daily stressors of actual life and creating a world where none of that exists and it's just pleasurable?
You do like role playing.
I mean,
you're just not a submissive, that's all.
Yeah, no, no, yeah, no. I mean, I used
On
to
occasion,
be a
but
switch. I used to be a switch, but with very few partners. And, you know, like, you know, it depends. Like, you got to get to that level of trust with me. You know, it's not something that I do all the time. And then what I realized is that I was really good at just being dominant, and I have like a good, you know, maybe it's from Boston that I can just insult people very well. So I've been paid a lot of good money to humiliate people. And I'm good at it. And people are like, you know, you could charge for this. And I was like, you mean I could charge people for putting them down? I was like, what? And making myself feel better? Are you kidding me? I was like, sign me up. And yeah, it's very lucrative.
oh, I'm sure it is. Go ahead, Nicole.
How many clients do you have right now?
Currently, I have clients on the East Coast. Here's the thing. Truth be told, I only see a couple people, and it's very sporadic. What I'm trying to do, and Mark, we talked about this earlier, is that I'm trying to get, it's very hard to be an independent contractor in this type of work because you have to worry about safety. Safety is key, right? And so I want to work out of an establishment. I want to work out of a dungeon that has that built-in security and setup, so I can just go do what I got to do and collect my money. I don't want to have to, you know, create a space or find stuff, you know, or get a security team and all that nonsense. So, yeah.
Well, so a lot of your stuff is on Zoom now. You're dominating people on Zoom?
Yeah, I love the interwebs. I'm thinking about doing a OnlyFans because our friend Sally Mullins, she keeps telling me, she's like, you gotta get on the OnlyFans.
She's right.
She's like, right. You kill it. And I was like, yeah. That's
and
like
by the way, next week we're gonna have our holiday special with Ms. Mara and Santa Claus. So I'll talk to Ms. Mara. I don't know if you know her, but we'll talk. We'll talk about you know, where she works out of and that type of thing. Maybe look something up for you. But
yeah, give me a reference.
Well, you gotta work me over first. You gotta put me down. Actually, yeah. So yeah, let's do that. I'm the sub. You're the dom. Go ahead. Tell me how worthless I am.
No.
Okay. All right. Good.
I don't have I don't have a signed consent form. B, I don't know where this is gonna go. And
I thought I was gonna go to something funny, but it's all right.
And you know how those trolls are. Like, this will pop up like 20 years from now.
Right. All right. Okay. But
I have another bad joke.
Go ahead. What?
What do you call? What did the dominatrix say to naughty Santa?
What?
She bent him over and spanked him and called him a ho ho ho.
Nice.
See, I would have bombed on my first time.
Save that for next week. Yes. We're all laughing on the inside. So
I think they're funny.
Well, we are going to see somebody bend over Santa next week, and
we are.
And Santa, we have Santa. Wait till you see it. We've got a guy. We have Santa Claus. The real Santa Claus comes on every year, and last year was virtual, but he's got quite a foot fetish. So I did let Mistress know about that. Now, I've only seen you in boots. Do you work those feet, or what's the deal with that?
I haven't had a pedicure since 2019. Okay, I have hooves at this point.
Okay. That's unusual.
You know what it is. Foot fetish people are my favorite. Okay, I used to have a sponsor who was like a foot fetish enthusiast, and coincidentally, same name as you, Mark. And him and his wife, they would buy me like Louis Vuittons, red bottoms, like all those really expensive shoes. And I would come over and have dinner at their house, and I'd walk around in their apartment in these shoes. Cause he also had a leg fetish and like pantyhose, but that's like a whole nother story. And they would buy me these expensive shoes, and like he would smell them, like give me like the most amazing foot rubs, foot massages. And he was like one of my favorite clients, because what I would do is I'd take the shoes and then I'd put them on eBay and sell them. So I'd be making the money for that. Plus I'd get wined and dined while I was there. And his wife was fucking amazing. I loved her to death. So we were like chit-chatting while he was just like touching my feet. And then
now, when you put them on eBay, did you make it a point to let people know they were used and smelly and soiled?
No,
because you probably could have got more for those.
Maybe. I did sell my underwear during the pandemic to pay some bills, though. I did do that.
How much did your underwear go for?
It was. I had requests. I was like, these people are sick. Okay, like I love it. Like anywhere from like $25 to $50 a pair.
And all used, right?
All used.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was running out. I told my sister, I said, do you have any used underwear, like old ones that you were getting rid of? And she was like, yeah. I was like, give them to me.
Would the thongs sell better than the granny panties, or what was the deal with that?
Oh my God, people like different things. They're into different kinks and stuff like that. Like I had this one request. If this guy was like, oh, could you get a yeast infection? And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna have a yeast infection.
Oh no.
Like just so you can have a pair of yeast infection panties. Like no.
They're like, could you get chlamydia? That'd be a fun.
Oh, and you know what? We got some special
UTI panties right here.
Yeah, this man got mad and sent me an email saying, "Well, your ad is very misleading. If you're saying that you're taking special requests, I don't know what's more special than this request." And I was like, "I'm not going to physically harm myself so that I can make $50." Like,
you should have wrapped the panties around a bagel and sent it to him.
Listen, so
there's your fucking yeast infection.
Like literally, I mean, I've had everything, like skid marks, period panties, all that stuff. Like
they request the skid marks.
Yeah,
the period panties. I guess I can sort of wrap my head around, but skid mark shitty panties of yours.
Yeah. I had somebody that was like, oh, can you masturbate in these before you send them? Like just stupid shit. And it's just like, oh yeah, no problem, babe. You know, it's like you just take the underwear and you go like this and you just throw them in a bag and send them. Like this is stupid.
Let me guess another special request. Pee. Did anybody ask?
Oh yeah. Obviously, that's a thing.
I know debauchery. I know what guys like.
This guy asked me, a special request was like, if I could take a video of myself working out, either like running or yoga in the underwear, right? And then having them all like, you know, vagina sweat juicy. I was like, sure. I was like, but you're gonna pay extra for that, sir.
Yeah, that's not that's $150. You gotta.
No, that was $125.
Yeah. See, this is Nicole. This is a business you should think about. This is some extra cash for Christmas.
Mark, I don't wear underwear.
The only thing I will say though is when I do my taxes, the taxes on that stuff, it really, really gets fucked over. So if you're doing it through like a site, right, that's like keeping track of your tax ID, which is just your social security number because you're independent contractor, whatever, like you really get fucked over. So like I really miss Backpage because that's where I would get all my clients and stuff. Right. And like now like Craigslist, yeah, but like I don't know, Craigslist is
just saying what it used to be.
No, it's not. It's not.
They've cut down. I'm still getting over Nicole doesn't wear panties. I'm like, wait a second. So I've seen you in, I guess I haven't seen you in dresses or pants short enough to see. I guess I'm trying to think if I ever thought.
The reason
because Josie our old host Josie never wore panties.
I think they're kind of gross the way they like ride up inside of you, and like I think they kind of make diseases like yeast infections and UTIs and stuff. And I just prefer to have. I wear a lot of dresses, and they're usually about almost knee length, so they cover
Right.
everything. I have breathability down there, so I just stay fresh.
Right. So they call it free balling for men. I guess it's free winging for girls. I don't know what's the term.
Flapping, free flapping.
Flapping, free flapping. Yes, free flapping. It's kind of like the Tom Petty song, but not quite. Free flapping. So wait, so you're selling sex toys, and then now, what was the first S&M sort of experience that you had? And I'm sure you played around with it with all your various airport lovers, but like a real where it really piqued your interest, or your
So I have a very high tolerance for pain. So I have always been a type of person that has liked to get slapped in certain places, not my face, because this is my moneymaker, but like I like to be slapped or like pinched or like poked, prodded, that type of thing. And so it was kind of like that, like, you know, and like choking's not a big thing for me unless it's done in a right way. And that was one of the things that I never experienced somebody that knew how to choke like effectively, where it was pleasurable, like right upon like ecstasy. And when that kind of happened, then I was like, whoa, like I like had this epiphany. I was like, oh, I do like this, you know? And I don't know, I like rough stuff. I very much like scenarios. I like role play, but I like scenarios, and I like playing roles outside myself. And, you know, I like dirty talk, but not derogatory dirty talk. Like you would never call me a bitch or a slut or a whore. Like you will never.
I guess it comes out too.
Yeah. Well, no, I can't. Well, no.
Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
No, I love using the cunt, but I usually like direct it at somebody else, not towards me. So yeah, so that was kind of like my, you know, it's like little tidbits, those type of things. I'm really like, I'm a big person that's into sensation play. So that was like the first thing that kind of got me started was sensation.
Define that for some people in our audience that don't know what that is.
So your skin is the largest organ on your body. You have all nerve endings on your skin and stuff like that. And what I noticed is that I'm very sensitive. My skin is very sensitive. So, sensory play is just using the skin and using instruments on the skin to elicit a response, whether that's negative or positive is really up to, the person that's playing with you, or what you're looking for.
So fire play, electro play.
I like electric wands. I have a prodder. I have a prodder. I like all those things.
What's a prodder?
Like a cattle prodder.
Oh, prodder. Okay, I got it. Okay.
I have like a little taser that
right.
It's not a big. It's not a big voltage. Like you're not gonna go numb, but you're gonna get stung just a little bit.
Candle wax.
Yeah, candle wax is a good one. Like waxing. Oh my God, I love to wax. Oh my God. I had this like Iranian guy that I used to play with, and he had like a sweater back. He had a sweater back, and I would just like, I would run my hands, my face through his hair, and then I'd wax him. Like it was just it.
What people
it was a thing.
What people think is just good hygiene, you think of as play.
Oh yeah, it's definitely play. I mean, maybe not for some people, but for me, it was just like.
Instead of going to a salon, go to the dominatrix. She knows how to really do that.
Yeah, like you don't need an esthetician. Just come over here.
Exactly. Now, I'm assuming that you learned how to choke yourself.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like nursing, actually, you learn a lot of those things. In nursing, you learn a lot of things just in terms of anatomy and like carotid artery and whatnot, and being able to apply certain pressure and like things to avoid. And so nursing really does help in that, because I can understand like the physiological effects of certain things. And then also like with aftercare, which aftercare is kind of like the state that people have after they play in the kink realm.
Right.
So just for people out there, and aftercare is different for everybody, but you know, being a nurse, like I was kind of always used to doing aftercare on people after like a procedure or anything like that, you know. So again, it's very interesting how those worlds overlap on things.
Right. It was almost destiny.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much medical play too. Like I mean, I got costumes for days, nursing outfits, all that nonsense.
Psychology, nursing, dominatrix comedy, it's all related.
All related, babe, but it's all intersectional.
And speaking of that, now you talked about in your act, so I do have to get into it because I know probably a large part of our audience is wondering that. You know, it's weird. You do the Futures Female Comedy, and you have men on it. I do the show, and I would say I probably have, as far as guests, when I was in the studio, I tried to get 2 women and 2 men at the same time, if I could. But I probably have 65 to 70% of my guests are women. And yet, on audio and on video, 90% of my audience is male.
Yeah, because they're here to see us.
I'm trying to get more females to, I don't know what to do. I think that they would enjoy the shows if they listened to them or watched them, but I don't know how to. I guess I'm not attracting them. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna, put Leonardo DiCaprio's picture on my my logo or something. I don't know what to do.
Well,
anyway,
I could probably give you some tips after this, but yeah.
Right.
So Future is Female, it's just a quirky name because literally y'all are dying out. Men are dying out within 30 years. There's not going to be any more men. Medical facts here, not even a joke. But it's a feminist comedy show. So it's all inclusive. I really wanted to highlight women, but I also don't want to say, oh, like you're a man or you're non-binary, you can't be in this. I didn't want to be that person that was like, oh, our token dude spot is already taken. Like, I didn't want that. So that's why I was just trying to create a space for equality for people.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that some other time. But what I was going to talk about, which I think my male 18 to 34 audience would like, is, and you've talked about during your act, farting on guys.
Oh, yeah. Flatulence is a big hit.
Now, who was the first guy that asked you to fart on them? I mean, not in like grade school, but like as a scenario.
I didn't know farting was like a thing. I didn't know it was like a kink at all. Like, did not know. And I was playing with some people at a place in New Hampshire with some friends, and I bent over to pick something up. I forget what it was, like either a tool or tie my shoe or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I farted and I was mortified. Right. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I played it off. I was like, I guess I'm just so hot. My body can't handle it or whatever. And this guy was just like, oh, that's fucking hot. And I was like, what? I was like, you like that? And he's like, oh yeah. Right. And he was like, oh, do it again. He's like, can you fart again? And like started touching himself. And I was just like, I was like, what is happening? Like, what? And like, like I know that people like to get peed on and stuff like it, like I got that. But like scat play and like getting farted on, I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah, and that guy just kind of like blew the roof, and he was like, oh man, that's really bad. Like shamed me, and I was just like, well, I'm vegetarian, it was like, yeah, it was really bad. So yeah, so that happened, and I was just like, oh. And he's like, oh, he's like, can you fart again? And I was like, I don't know. Like, dude, like this one slipped out and whatever. So he was like the first person that like told me that it was something that could get into. And then, like just through the grapevine, somebody was like, hey, I really like, I wanted to try this or whatever. Would you be interested? And I was like, okay. you know, I was like, when the money's right.
So you're saying that, you know, there's like the foot community. Is there like the fart community?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So there are people that get off by smelling, and then there's people that just literally get off of smelling farts.
Right.
Wow.
And are there some people that like the sound? And
Some people like the sound. Some people like watching the actual butt pucker up and then like let the gas out. Like it's like
the rosebud?
yeah. Like I mean, people
Have
are
you tied these guys down and fart on their face? Like, how do you do this?
It depends on what the client wants, really. You know, I try to be accommodating without putting myself, you know, in an uncomfortable position. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So I mean, I've sat on people's faces and farted on them and like peed on them and stuff like that. Like just very degrading stuff, humiliation. Like, oh, you know, smell my ass, you piece of shit. You know, like, it's just like no one will ever love you. This is what I think of you, and just fart in their face.
Wow.
You know, like you know. Just it like this is how I knew I was a comic, because I was doing these things and like on the outside I was like, take it, but in my head I was like, oh my god, what is wrong? Like this is crazy, you know. I was just like oh my god, like I'm like, you need to see a shrink, like this son. I was like writing jokes in my head, but on the outside I was just like, yeah, you like that, you dirty bitch. You know, it's like
is there anything that shocked you besides that men are requesting and are into? Is there anything you've refused to do? First off,
I don't like insects. I have had a lot of people that are into some variation of formophilia, which is just the play of insects on the skin and stuff like that. And I've done worms, because I can pick up worms. I'm a country girl. I can pick up worms. I've done grubs, which again is just a bigger worm with a little pincher on the end.
So you just put worm in the body?
Yeah, or in the body.
Oh,
Gross.
Like I've done sounding with grubs. You put sounding is when you put anything through the male's urethra. So I've done sounding with grubs, where the grub will go down all the way, burrow down, and then because it can't go
what sounding is again.
It comes back up.
So nasty.
Explain what sounding is again. I don't want to hear it.
I said, so sounding is when you stick something through the urethra of a man's penis, and you can actually hit the prostate. So sounding. So I did it with grubs, and they burrow down. They go all down, and then they come back up because they can't breathe. Yeah.
What if they didn't come back up?
You pee and they'll pop right out, or you come and you pop right out.
What's going on under this desk? Oh.
But where I drew the line, my boundary was crickets. Right?
Oh.
Crickets. Crickets are something that you can get at any pet store, because people who have reptiles, crickets are what they eat and stuff like that. And this, like, if you look up crickets on a penis, oh my God, so what happens with crickets is if they feel like they can't get out of a space, they start to bite and burrow, and they will rip apart the flesh within 2 minutes. And like, your dick looks like a hot dog that exploded in a microwave. Like if you leave that
mine
stuff
does anyway,
on. Yeah. So somebody was like, oh, you know, like it was like worms, grubs. I was like, okay. And then it was like, oh, I got some crickets. And I was like, so I did some research, and then I asked some other people, and they were like, oh, crickets are violent, yo. Like crickets are like, you know, like crazy and da-da-da. And then like I Google imaged stuff. I watched some videos, and I was like, nope.
There's a guy that's so hardcore. He's like, worms aren't enough. I can't, you know.
Well, I'm just like that was like my thing. That and like any type of blood play or any kind of like actual piercing the skin is where I draw the line, because my nurse brain kicks in and then I go into, oh my God, I've got to fix you. I've got to give you care rather than, the service that I'm here to provide. So, I don't do stuff like that. I don't like fire play. This is just so much stuff. Shibari, I'm not really big into. I'm very basic. I'm very beginner shibari level with rope tying and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Figging, I'm sure you figged a few people.
Yeah, it's not my favorite thing to do.
I heard this is one of the pleasures of having a show like this, is that I never heard of sounding or figging before I started the show. Nicole, you know what figging is?
No, I don't.
Tell her.
Explain figging, mistress. You're the expert.
No, you tell her.
Okay, well, it's you take a ginger root,
Okay.
peel it to the right shape, and you stick it up the rear.
Oh, okay. That's not that bad. Like, it's not something I want to do, but it's not that bad.
It's bad.
Does it hurt because it's ginger?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, mistress?
Well, yes, it can be. It also, because there's usually no flared base on those things, your ass is a highway. So your ass muscles will pull it inward. So
you
got to be careful how you
it burns
items. Yeah.
See, this is where your nurse training comes in, and your clients are very lucky. Now, I know that the first show I did with you was at the Comedy Chateau in North Hollywood, and you said something about the owner being a client. Was that a joke?
It was a joke. It's our little joke. He always says that. Yeah, it was like that was his thing.
I didn't think he could afford you.
It's not even that. It's just like I wouldn't. I'm sorry. I have standards these days where it's just like, do I need the money that bad?
Right. now when you do Zoom discipline, as it were, you have to really because you can't obviously do all these things and give people sensations, or you tell people what to do and they do it.
Yeah. I actually, during the quarantine, had several people ask me if they could come and clean my house. I've had people that just want to be my slaves to do regular errands, stuff like that. Work
Send them
for
over
free.
to my house and Nicole's. They really be cleaning.
But what I noticed is that a lot of the work that I did during the quarantine, it wasn't a lot of like kink or dom stuff. It was mostly that these people were just very lonely and wanted someone to talk to, which is really sad. But I feel like in a place where like a lot of us were not connected, like to have that safe space where it's just like, I'm paid to be here. So you can literally tell me anything. And, it doesn't matter because if you offend me, I can click off the Zoom, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I got to know these people on a different level that I don't think I would if I was working out of a dungeon or a facility or the places where I used to work out of. So, it's interesting, like to have that different level. And it's funnier because like the more I got to know about these people personally as individuals, I was like, you're just giving me more material. Like, and then I was contemplating, I'm like, oh, if I say that, is that a little too hard? Like, is that a little too real for you? Like that type of thing. So,
they can handle it.
But what I did find out is that I learned that I was like the MacGyver of DOMs, because like these people don't have toys at home unless they've gone out and purchased stuff. Or if they purchase stuff, it's usually on like really tacky websites where the stuff is cheesy and it's not really meant for play. It's like for like novices or beginners, it's like, oh, we're going to do
like our former sponsors, Hustler and Adam and Eve.
Yeah, like those type of things. So I got really creative and I was like, do you have a hairbrush? Like, I was like, what does your broom look like? Like certain things. And I was just like, okay. I'm like, paddle. I'm like, do you have a small pan? Like, it was like, you know, it's like coming up with shit. Like, it's just like, okay, shoot. Oh, like, you don't have rope? You have shoelaces, sir. Could you take your shoelaces?
Ooh.
You know, that type of stuff. So it's just like
So,
doing work with no toys, no tools.
yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. I've had a few DOMs on since the pandemic. And they just kept rolling along. I guess the Zoom was good for one thing.
I'm telling you, like, Zoom was cool because, again, I met somebody through the UK, so I was up late. I'm a night owl anyway, so I was up late, and it was like, you know, 8 o'clock there. It's like 2 a.m. here, so or 12 in the afternoon here,
Right.
and so like it was interesting, like the time difference, and you know, having accents and like being exposed to people that I never would have been exposed to before, and then, you know, like Fat Life, there was all that underground stuff, you know, like knock twice, you don't have your vaccination, that type of thing, you know, that all that stuff going on too during that. So it's
Knock twice if you don't have vaccination. I must not. This may not have gone around to me. What happened on FetLife? I don't know.
Oh my God, there's so many, like there's so many parties. There were so many parties because people are like, I'm so depressed. I just need to fuck something. You know, it's like, it was just so.
Now you tell me, Jesus.
Yeah, there were so many things. And yeah, there was a lot of people. And then like masks got really outrageously priced, like gas masks and stuff, because like you could use
I'm sure.
parties and stuff as not even just, you know, not even just as like a kink or fashion, like actually for actual use.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, it was interesting. It's definitely been an interesting time in that field. I will say though, I haven't been focusing so much on it. You know, it's like kind of been like my side gig, you know, something that I kind of fall back on.
Because you've been focusing on comedy.
Because I've been focusing on comedy.
Yeah. And you put together some great shows. And now, what is the charity thing that I saw on your page?
Yeah, so I wanted to do something for the holidays, and a lot of people are doing toy drives and that type of stuff, which is great. But when I hear toy drive, my mind goes someplace else.
Yes. Are you doing an adult toy drive? Is that what's going on?
Yes. So I was like, I want to do something different that is for something that will actually do some good. Because a lot of those toy drives, people will buy toys and the kids are like, this is junk. You know, like they don't want it. So a lot of people don't know this, but 1 in 4 women actually suffer from period poverty, meaning that they can't actually buy the products that they need to get through their cycles on a monthly basis. And a lot of the times when people can't afford their feminine hygiene products, they either call out of work, they don't do certain activities because of the shame behind it. So I wanted to try to combat that in a way where, again, to take on products that women actually need and use, and to give back to battered women's shelters, pride centers, homeless people that just don't have these readily available to them. A lot of people don't know this, but you know, like women, like we use anywhere from 5 to 8 of these products on a daily basis, depending on how heavy our flow is, you know. And then like luckily the state of California doesn't charge us the pink tax on top of our products, right? But 32 states still do in the United States charge us a tax on top of something that is our body. It's a bodily function that we can't control. Trust me, if we could skip periods, we'd be skipping them. You know what I mean? Like we would skip them.
Let some of your clients hear that.
Yeah. So I wanted to combat that. So I started Auntie Flo's Drive, and we're collecting panty liners, pads, tampons, menstrual cups, wipes. And if you can't physically donate these products, you can slide into my DMs. You can send them to me. If you're in California, I can arrange a pickup. But if you would just like to donate money, we'll put the money towards buying these products for shelters and stuff like that. So you can Venmo FIF Comedy Show, and just in the notes put Auntie Flows. Right now we're up to about I think $55. So again, that buys a lot of.
I'll be donating, and donate. It sounds like a great cause.
Yeah, and I've been very fortunate. Knuckleheads let me put out a box there. Bobby Oliver at the Tao Studio is letting me put a box there too. So again, I wanted to just give back to the community and try to help in any kind of little way, because if you cannot have to spend your money on stuff that you actually need and put it towards something that like where it really needs to go, where it's like food or like helping yourself, your child or whatever, or your gas or whatever, like that's where your money should really go.
Mistress, don't bullshit a bullshitter. You're trying to hoard tampons. Let's be honest.
I don't use tampons, honey. I have my menstrual cup, and that works great.
Okay.
I bought it once in 2019 and don't need another one. So I'm a one and done.
I'll be Googling that after the show. But what a delight. Where does the time go? One more thing before we go, because I know you used to have a podcast over at the Comedy Store, the basement. Are you aware it was haunted?
No.
Anything weird happen besides, Dangerous D being on the show and other things? No, because we had Joey Gaynor on a few weeks ago, and he saw like ghosts down in the cellar, and they had a seance, and apparently Sam Kinison came to life. I guess it's not haunted anymore. It used to be haunted in the 80s and 90s.
No, I mean, it's probably haunted now because Missy's like, what have you done to my establishment? But,
That's an anti-comedy joke. Nicole's like, what?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing about the Comedy Store basement was the fact that I was like one of the only women going down to this creepy basement with 15 men, and I'm like, yeah, I'll be fine.
No, that doesn't. Trust me. If I was a woman, I would not go down to the Comedy Store. But who knows what's going on down there? But
no.
Yeah, we'll, next time you're on, we'll go into the Comedy Store, because there's a lot of stuff there. Your shows, in some respects, are the anti-Comedy Store. Very inclusive, very funny, and like I say, you don't have too many comics, and the comics you have on are legitimate, good comics. And the first time I did your show, I remember sitting backstage with Big Wheezy after he fell off the stage, and we were talking about, and Big Wheezy, Nicole, is big.
Okay.
He's probably 450 pounds, and he's lost weight. Yeah. But
okay.
And we were just talking
tree in the tree one.
Well, we were talking about how nice it was, not just that you paid us, but that you hand wrote cards to all of us. And you have done that at every show I've been on of yours.
Yeah.
It's a very nice touch.
Well, thank you. Because here's the thing. It's very important for me that you, being a part of the show, that that you're valued and that you are part of my community. And FIF is really just I'm trying to create a community of people that are supportive, that actually give a fuck about each other, and to show people that, there's a better way to do it, and that everybody can get paid, and you can be on good lineups, you can be in a safe space. And guess what? Women are funny. So I wanted to bridge myself away from, what everybody else is doing and do my own thing.
Well, that's good. Tell us, before we go, tell us everything you got going on, all your hashtags, all your ats. Tell us about the next Futures Female show, all the stuff you got going on. Sure.
So Friday, when this airs, I'll actually be at Knuckleheads doing an ugly sweater show in San Clemente. December 6th, which is Monday at 7 p.m., I have a Futurist Female. We're doing this new series called Are You Okay? A conversation about mental health. And it's featuring the very funny, talented Carissa Gomez. And she's a woman that has schizophrenia, who does comedy, who's hilarious, who is a champion, in my eyes, a champion for mental health, and has taken her life experiences and turned it into something that is educational yet funny for people. So it's an open forum to kind of get people to learn like, this is the face of mental health, you know, or whatever. And also an open forum, a safe space for people who are having any kind of problems that are going on in their life. You know, with the holidays coming up, it's a lonely time for all of us. So to create a safe space where people can go, hey, like, I see you, like, it's okay, like, cry it out, say whatever you got to say. You know, with us losing John, you know, again, anybody that is feeling any kind of way to come and to be with people that will care about you and actually give a shit what you have to say. It's kind of like a free therapy session, a check-in, if you will. So I have that on the 6th, that link in my bio. Futurist Females, very excited. We're doing a Nice and Naughty show December 17th at Knuckleheads. So that'll be fun. Nick Colias is co-hosting with me. He's not so nice Nick.
Okay.
I got the Futurist Female, where I got accepted into the Electric Comedy Festival in St. George, Utah. So I'll be there after Christmas. And Futurist Female has a show in the festival. So representing for the feminist comedy. Very excited about that. I'm working on a documentary called The Rise of the Kings right now, to talk about drag kings and the marginalization of kings in the queer spaces.
Interesting.
And The Dom Mother, which was the film that I wrote, produced, and co-directed with Indestructible Productions. God, I've said that wrong twice tonight. With Mr. Danny Cano is I'm getting a premiere going in January, so The Dom Mother will come out. It's kind of my take on The Godfather, only with comics and kills. So a lot going on.
At is it FIF Comedy or?
Yep, FIF Comedy Show on Instagram. I've got my
Mistress K5.
Mistress K5 on the gram. I've got my comedy special coming out in next year. It's Don't Fart for Free. It's called Don't Fart for Free.
Of course.
And, yeah. So, you know, I got a lot of stuff coming out. So just follow.
Great words to live by. Follow Mistress K on Instagram, Mistress K5. Forget the first 4, or FIF Comedy Show. Nicole, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Well, I'm at Nicole6Books on Instagram, and I'm also Nicole H6 on Facebook. And the next thing I'm doing,
you're Nicole6Books without the underscore after it, right?
Right. There is some robot who made a fake account of me because I'm so popular, so they want it to be popular too. Anyway, I wasn't even going to mention them. Like, I'm just going to ignore them, and then they'll eventually, like, the account will get shut down. But so yeah, my account is Nicole6Books. It'll be the one that has 6,000 followers, so it should be easily recognizable versus the robot that has absolutely no content. And then my Facebook is Nicole H6.
And I'm Goth Comedian on all social media. Everybody have a wonderfully creepy week. Bye.